G'day from Australia, and welcome to another episode of Halfling House. And today I'm just going to give a few updates of the development of my Halfling Mordheim Warbands. So this would be the warband that I'd pretty much chosen to go with an elder, cook, thief, maybe some dogs, about 5 or 6 archers and spearmen. Not all of these models I'll use, but this will be like the display case for them. I'll put magnets on these as well, and just this will act as like the transport, and then I'll choose which models to field for each battle. But yeah, there's one, and then I also had a potential witch hunter halfling warband. Oops. So that's why I need magnets to magnetize these so they don't fall off. But yeah, that's just the overview of the potential halfling witch hunter warband. So if you'd seen my previous video where I'd gone through selecting the models for my warband, which would be this one, I actually had a shortage of archers. So I went online, eBay in the UK, and purchased 3 or 4 archers, and 3 of them have arrived. So I got to get these painted up. So here's a nice Reaper miniature. I think it's Dakaris or something like that. And he'll be an archer in this, but he could also double as a scout or a thief. I'll bring that a little closer, but a really awesome little model there. Loads of character, one of my favourite halfling models actually. So yeah, that will be 1 archer to paint up, and I'll probably make him look like a ranger, just like a green cape, and then leather pouches and so forth. Keep it pretty simple. So yeah, similar theme like this guy is here. And that's the old Harlequin Black Tree Design halflings. So I have about all of those in my army. I just didn't have them all handy, but I actually went and purchased another one here. Really good character on these. I think some of the best halfling archers. They scale up really well with the Citadel halflings. Size-wise and character-wise, they're pretty much perfect. Let's grab this guy as a comparison, maybe. So cool little model. Again, I'll look to paint him sort of in the green. And then the last archer I have with me. This is the old pre-slaughter halfling. And that's actually a lead miniature, so I don't want to be sucking my fingers after touching this guy. But again, another characterful sculpt, and making a good scout ranger for a halfling warband. So pretty cool there. So I'll have those 3, and then I have one more in in the USA that I'm going to bring back soon. So yeah, as I pulled all of these out of storage, I don't have any supplies or anything like that. So I went and brought a bunch of Vallejo paints. So that's a tan skin set. I got these pretty good buy. I think it was like 16 Australian dollars for 4 paints. So that's really cheap. In the past I've never used, I normally do like a triad, 3 paints, never really gone with 4. So we'll see how we go, if that affects my style. And then the green there. And then I have, what's that? That's the lever. So those will be like the main scheme. Pretty plain. But yeah, it'll be in line with what these guys look like. Just bear with me 1 second, I forgot to grab something. So, yeah, you can see that's my old sort of Citadel paint style. So my goal for these new guys is just to try and paint them a little smoother and not as extreme sort of contrasts and highlights, although it does add to the character and make them pop, you know, and it's very old school. But I just want to improve a little bit, and I'll pull out some examples of models I used to paint. Again, sorry about the delay. Here we are. Okay. So this is actually my old Empress Minis moldy miniatures. Those highlights come out more extreme actually on the camera. But that was kind of the level of painting that I got to before I stopped painting. Again, like the highlights on the flesh and everything, these are really not as extreme. I'll turn this light off and see if you can see it a little better. No, it still sort of looks... but yeah, I want to sort of get more in line with this level of painting where I felt like I improved a lot and a bit more subtle. I might have a better example. Is that... What's this one? Sorry, these are all in storage as well. So I brought these back. Okay, this one's maybe a better example. Yeah, I brought these back from New Zealand. So that was a Warband I was painting up. So, yeah, I just want to improve a bit on my painting style. Then I've got a few more minis here. This is like a Halfling Pirate or Halfling Thief. And I'm just rebasing that one. It was on a round base. So I'm rebasing them on a square base. Sorry, they're dropping in and out. So I'm going to rebase them on a square base, just to fit in with the army. And then there's this little guy, and that's actually a Reaper Halfling. I don't know why the focus is dropping in and out. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that's actually a Reaper Halfling from the Bones range. Heaps of character. Lots of really nice detail on this guy. So you can see there. But when I brought him, he was too tall. So he's more in line with the height, size of like the Warhammer Halflings. So what I did, yeah, so he was taller, quite a bit taller. Doesn't want to focus on this guy. So what I did is I chopped his shins off. So he had like shins probably as high as those pants are, down to his feet. And I cut those off. And then just stuck his, glued him to his feet to his trousers. And yeah, makes him a lot shorter and fits more in stylistically and size wise with, you know, the Halfling army that I have. So yeah, that's really cool. So you can see nice details, nice character on him. So what I might do is do like a you know, most of my army is Citadel size. So what I might do is move more towards a Warhammer, like Empire size sort of Halfling regiment, and separate the slightly bigger Halflings, because those are the two sort of Halfling sizes you tend to get. So I'll put him down. So that's that. And then 2 more minis here. Sorry. And this is the unreleased Halfling Pimp. So I've based them up. What I'm going to do is paint the base in line with the rest of my regiment or my Halflings. So like these. And I'm planning to send that off to Andrew Taylor. He's a really well known painter of like old school minis and fantasy minis, one of my favorite painters, and I'm going to get that commission painted, just because it's a very rare Halfling, quite a valuable Halfling. Like this model by itself is probably worth, you know, $100 US sort of thing, or £100. So I don't want to ruin it with an average paint job. So there's him, and then the last model, which I might also send, and that is the mounted Frodo from the Lord of the Rings range on a pony. Really cool model, super characterful, like the pony's awesome. And so is that mini. So yeah, that's what I plan to do with that one. So maybe get 2 commission jobs done. Just because I think that would be an awesome looking mini. Sorry about that. I should have glued them on, but I didn't. It's kind of hard to do this and watch the camera at the same time. So I reckon that should look amazing with a proper professional paint job. So yeah, there you have it. A few models I'm going to paint up and rebase. So yeah, 4 models I'm planning to paint. The only thing as I've noticed is I haven't painted in over 12 years, and my eyes have really deteriorated. And even in the last 2 years, that I really struggle to see detail, like within say 10-20 centimeters of my face. So I probably need to get my eyes checked again, but it's probably going to make it really hard to paint these guys because they're absolutely tiny. So you can see like the scale difference. These are like 20mm human models, those moldies, and then this dude's like almost like a 10mm, 18mm model. So yeah, definitely a lot harder to paint. So part of the reason why I want to get back painting too is I have, of these moldies, I have probably about 10 models that I never finished. So I want to get them painted. So the Māori, in case those that don't know, they're the indigenous people of New Zealand, where New Zealand's where I come from. So some people pronounce Maori, but the proper pronunciation is Māori. Anyway, they're the indigenous people of my country. So yeah, these are sort of miniatures from the colonial times, and I was painting like a warband of those. So anyway, yeah, that's where I'm up to. I might do an update as I get through painting these guys. Maybe not a step-by-step one, because I'm not good enough to warrant that sort of thing. But, you know, maybe do a review of those Reaper paints, you know, see what they look like and compare them to how I previously painted. So yeah, just want to do a slightly simpler, more smoother paint style. And yeah, thanks for watching. And yeah, stay tuned maybe later in this video or another video with updates. Cheers, guys. Well, yeah, here we have it. My first miniatures that I've painted in over 12 years with those 3 Citadel Halflings. So the first up, I have this old Citadel Dungeon Adventurers, and this is pre-Slaughter base. I think it's from the Adventurers 2 set. And overall pretty happy with it, especially I think I did okay on his face. Now the only thing I'm wasn't too stoked on was I used the Vallejo for green triad with the 4 different colors. Although it pops here, I felt the 4th highlight was a little too extreme. It kind of makes the mini pop, but I sort of prefer more of a subtle green, which you'll see on the next mini. And then there's the lever too. I kind of feel like the 4 layers on such small figures don't work so well, especially with my painting level. I feel like 3 layers works better. The 4 layers, as you can see, like the leather and the green, it's kind of too much. And these aren't great sculpts, but they have a lot of detail in small areas, but the sculpting isn't always smooth. So I feel like the 4 layers kind of makes that pot, like you can see there, the sculpting on the trousers isn't so smooth there. But I think overall it came out pretty good. And then yeah, when I finished him with the Vallejo, I think it's like a 4 color triad with the tan skin. The skin on this was very, very pale. The final finish was really pale and didn't fit with the other minis. So I'll get an example of. He does now. He fits more now, but before he was very, very pale, almost like Casper. So I ended up giving it a flesh wash, which sort of tanned it up a little bit more. But it also kind of had the subtlety on the face. Like I was really happy with the painting on the face. But I think that wash kind of maybe blended it in better, but didn't accentuate it as much. But yeah. Anyway, that's a long talk about one mini. So there's the first mini. This was the first one I'd painted in 12 years. And this one took me way too long. This took me like over 6 hours sort of to get back into the swing of things. But yeah, he sort of fits in pretty well there. Yeah, with the old archers. Nice character with his bowl cut and everything. But yeah, I feel like I did a decent job on him. Let's see if that, decent to a tabletop standard, and consistent with the level of all the other miniatures. So yeah, cute little mini. And then next, I have one of the old Marauder Halflings. And overall, I'm pretty happy with this guy. More happy than I am with the first model. I think the base came out pretty good. But you can see the green there. I only did 3 layers on the green. So it's a lot more subtle sort of finish. And you can see again, I think the leather, next time I might just do it with the 3 layers. Yeah, with 4, it's, yeah, for me with my level, it's kind of hard to sort of make it work. But I think I need to improve on that with the leather there. But, and again, this was one that I'd painted with the Vallejo flesh, and it came out very pale. So I had to give him a flesh wash, which I lost a lot of detail on the face, but I think overall it works okay. So yeah, pretty happy with him. The base I think came out well. The face wasn't as good as before I flesh washed it, but fits in better with the army there. So yeah, these are really cool. So I have, I think, 3 of them, of the old Marauder Halflings. No, these aren't Marauder, sorry. These are Black Tree Design or Harlequin Halflings, which I think are some of the cooler Citadel archers, or that sort of scale. They scale up perfectly with the Citadel miniatures. I'll get one for example. So yeah, the scale's pretty perfect there. So pretty happy with that. And then the final one is this Reaper Halfling. So you can see the green there again is extreme, similar to the first model with using the 4 layers. Like you can see there it does pop, kind of I think similar to how they paint a lot of the Games Workshop Wood Elves. And with the highlight on this, I actually mixed it with the level down to try and not make it extreme and try and be more subtle. But I feel it just overpowered the whole green. Like from a distance it pops, but I feel it makes it look the detail look a bit too streaky, where before it looked a lot smoother like on the second model. But I think overall he's pretty cool. He was a little tricky to paint, as the detail wasn't so defined on his hands and his face. So I had a few frustrating, but I think overall he came out good. And yeah, he does pop with the green. I just don't like so much how it looks on the back, in contrast to say that the more smoother greens, say on like that one where it's I think 3 layers. But I think maybe as like a hero model or like make a good scout or a thief. Yeah, quite sort of heroic. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Still need to improve, but I think after 12 years of no painting, and I feel like after these, if I was to paint more in the same scheme, they would come out a lot better. So yeah, I've got 5 archers painted up for this warband. One in the USA that I'm going to ship back. In the meantime, I'll use these 2 as proxy archers. And I think they fit really good with the Mordheim theme as well, with their backpacks just full of stuff. These are the old Lord of the Rings, Citadel Lord of the Rings, when they had the license many moons ago. I think they're really awesome miniatures, really underrated. Very characterful and perfect for Mordheim. I think I reviewed them in one of my previous videos. And here's 2 more here. Which, oops. I think that's Frodo and that's Samwise. But yeah, they're really awesome. Like perfect Mordheim miniatures right there. And then I think this guy, I've undercoated him and did give him a bit of a dry brush. So we'll see how he comes out. More defined, a lot more defined and simpler detail. I think so he should paint up pretty well. Yeah, so there we have it. My Halfling Warband. So I think it's a pretty cool mixture of miniatures there. The thief, leader or elder, that's going to be my cook. 5 archers, 2 more archers in the back, maybe 5 spearmen, and then these will be the models I'll pick from for my warband, which I'm going to sort of fine tune as I play and see what works best. So yeah, super cool minis. Like, you can't beat these old Citadel guys. Oh yeah, one thing too is, final thing, is I coated these with, I think it's like a Citadel matte hard coat, but it's almost more like a sheen, where the others I'd use Tester's dull coat, which I think it evens out all the colours together as well. So maybe this guy, when I get some dull coat, will come up a little better. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Any minis out there? I'm like, it's kind of getting back into the vibe of it all, and I've been looking at a whole bunch of halflings that I might buy and make some more warbands or regiments out of for my army. Such as old school miniatures halflings. Satyr art has some really awesome halflings too. So there are a couple, and then I've found a few companies, but I think they're out of business now, that had some really good halflings that scale really well with Citadel. So maybe I'm being a bit hard on myself. I think as a heroic sort of character, that works really well, maybe with the more extreme detailing or highlighting, but I didn't really want to go back and do it all over again. So yeah. Such cool minis. You know, like most of the Warhammer stuff is all digitally sculpted, and I just don't have character like this anymore. No school like the old school. Alright, cheers guys. Bye.